Well, lawyers for the Ghana Football Association President Kwesi Nyantakyi are pushing for the police CID to grant their client bail following more than 5 hours of interrogation on allegations of corruption against him. We're learning that that bail has been granted. We'll be bringing you details, but it follows President Kufuor formally lodging a complaint with the investigative body accusing the GFA boss of using his name and office fraudulently. The GFA president is said to have been caught on tape in the latest expose by investigative journalist Anas Areme Anas using the name of the president to allegedly solicit bribes from potential investors. JoyNews' Kwesi Wilson has been monitoring events at the police CID headquarters and joins us live. Hello, Parker. Now, we're learning that Kwesi Nyantakyi, the GFA president, has been granted bail. Can you confirm that? All right, Kwesi Wilson, let me just repeat my question. We're learning that Kwesi Nyantakyi, the GFA president, has been granted bail. Can you confirm that for us?
Yes, of course, Israel, I can confirm that to you. A while ago, I spoke to the lawyer, Tadiosori, who confirmed to me that Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi has been granted bail, but he declined to comment on the matter further by telling me whether or not he has some sureties and what were some of the cautions. But as we know, that is Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, has been granted bail.
Now, what have you been picking from the police with respect to the accusations leveled against him, and what charges, if any, have been leveled against him?
Well, Israel, interestingly, the police here at the CID headquarters are failing to comment on the matter. In fact, they are tight-lipped as far as the information is concerned. Even at a time when the CID was taking Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi to his residence, they didn't even want the media to know about it. In fact, they gathered us somewhere and then they sneaked him out of their office into their vehicle to take him to his house because they said, I don't want any media coverage. But I have with me lawyer Victor Adaudo, who has been here today, and he has also been monitoring the event. Let's quickly find out from him what is the likely to be the charges preferred against Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, and whether or not this bail was expected, because some thought that, he was going to spend the night here at the CID headquarters. So, lawyer Victor Adaudo is here with me. Lawyer, thank you very much for your time this evening. Now, let me find out from you, would you say that this bail was expected?
Just to make a quick correction, I came here because of a client. I've been here since morning, so it's just a coincidence that I've been here and saw what was happening. Right. Yeah, so I came because of my client.
Very well. But would you say that this bill was expected, because some were saying that it was going to be granted bill tomorrow?
No. You see, the law is such that it grants the police power that when you are under arrest and statement is taken from you, after the statement, they have the discretion to grant you bail or to hold you on. All the law says is that you cannot hold a person over 48 hours. If you hold him after 48 hours, you need to arraign the person in court for the court to make your case that the court should hold him for purposes of investigation, further investigation, or the court grants him a bail. So the law grants the police, anytime you are arrested, it's a discretion. When they finish with you, you may be granted bail. When they think that they need more time to do investigation, then maybe they will keep you up to the 48 hours.
And you say this irrespective of the magnitude of the case that they are investigating?
I think that every case is, it depends on the facts. It depends on what is available to them. Right. We are being told, this is a developing story, and we were told that this is as a result of what was seen or what was captured in the video that's yet to be aired for the public to see. Right. So it's out of that that the complaint was made and that he should be. And it is only the investigative agencies or the states, that's the Attorney General Department, that can tell us what they will charge him with and what are the facts what are the evidence they have. So it's a developing story. We need to see what.
Right now, finally, talking about the charges. I mean, looking at the magnitude of the case once again, what is likely? What are some of the charges likely to be preferred against Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi?
I haven't had the benefit of watching the video.
Right.
I think the president had the benefit, and some of the officials at the presidency, so they know what they have seen. They have seen the evidence, and they said that prima facie, what they have seen is defrauding by false pretense.
Right.
But I'm a little bit worried with that,
Right.
because they can only complain. They are not investigative bodies who can lay a charge. It is only the Attorney General and the police that can lay a charge. So if you are making a complaint and you go in and say you have seen some evidence which will grant or be laid with the charge of pretending by false pretenses, and at the end of the day we watch the video and we don't find anything like that, what becomes the issue? Was it...
But counsel, I mean, you know that the president is a lawyer himself.
Oh yes, the fact that you are a lawyer, the fact that you're a lawyer, you will see things that you believe that it should grant you in this charge. But at the end of the day, it's the president who is making the complaint, or the states on behalf of the state. So if the state starts, even before investigation starts, normally they do caution statement that we are investigating you for this. It's after they finish the investigation, that is when they charge you. So what they are doing now, so it should have been that for what we have seen, we think that it should be investigated for this charge. But you don't just come and say that this is the charge, we think that it is this, because we have seen evidence, and on the surface of it, this is the charge we think they should. It is a little bit too far-fetched for now to say, because it's a developing story.
Right.
We will yet to get to know. Since it's with the police, it becomes a public knowledge. So when we ask, we'll definitely get to know the facts and evidence.
Thank you very much, lawyer Victor Adawudu. Now, clearly he's saying that the investigations, I mean, what they said that they will charge Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi with as quite far-fetched. So, Israel, that's the information you are picking on the ground.
All right, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, I know you have seen Kwesi Nyantakyi since he came in. We know that he arrived this morning, and at the airport straight away he was picked to the police CID. Tell us his demeanor.
Right, Israel, I can see that. But I saw him briefly. It was actually moved from one office to the conference room. And when I saw him, if you know Kwesi Nyantakyi very well, you would realize that he has a smiling face almost all the time. And well, of course, he kept the smiling face still on. It wasn't really perturbed. He was in a blue-black suits. And so clearly, it tells you that the man, I mean, judging from where I saw him, one would easily say that the man is not really perturbed with whatever is happening, but that he's comfortable, he is okay, and he really kept his composure.
All right, thank you very much, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, with that update from the police CID headquarters. Now, though Mr. Nyantakyi is going through the due process following the allegations against him, there are some who are not convinced justice will be served in this case. Leader of the All People's Party, Hassan Ayariga, who was at the police CID on a different mission, told JoyNews he does not expect much from the investigations.
House has made a big mistake by making the president watch the video before all of us. You want to be independent, and you want Ghanaians to see your good work. Why will you allow some people to have the opportunity to view it before exposing it to the world?
This is the norm. I mean, I've known Anas for some time, and that's what he does almost all the time. The judge's, I mean, video, for example, he presented it to the former president, John Dramani Mahama, to watch it first before premiering it. And you know about the port as well. Yeah. That even that one, the John Evans at the time, commissioned him to do that. So that has been the trend consistently.
But I think he should change this trend and then give us surprises that nobody can say anything. He should surprise the whole world, because somebody too can influence us and edit some part of it. Now, the president has been alleged to have received $5 million, Vice President $3 million, and other people. Right. Now, the president has asked the police to investigate the matter. Nyantakyi was here.
Right.
You guys were standing there waiting for him. Then a police officer comes to draw your attention away from Nyantakyi, and then they escape with him to the back door.
Sneaked him out.
They sneaked him out to the back door. Is that justice we are looking for? Is that the real information you want Ghanaians to see, to hear that Ghana is really working? So is the police shielding Anas, Nyantakyi, or is the president who shielding Nyantakyi? In any case, why was the rush to arrest Nyantakyi? They should have allowed us to watch it.
Well, still on this issue, there are some lawyers who say prosecution of the FA boss may raise legal challenges. Let's explore this further. We're joined via Skype by Samson Ladi-Ayenini, who is also a private legal practitioner. Hello, Samson. Now, from your understanding of what has been reported so far and what is in the public domain about the scandal, would you say a crime has been committed?
It's difficult to say straight away that it has been committed. Number one, Section 131, thereabout and going down of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, which is the law that will be in play as far as these matters are concerned, ought to be looked at. When you look at it, you need to show, number one, that someone had made a false representation or had impersonated somewhat. And, you know, out of that, there had been consideration that had gone away, that somebody had given money, had parted with money because of the false information given him, which false information the other party trusted was not false, but was genuine information. So we need to be sure about that. Has some money been given to somebody, which we will say then the receiver of the money has defrauded the one who gave the money? But there's a next answer to that. Even when money has not parted ways, you could also make the point, what we call in law inchoate offense, where there is clear evidence that you have been in the process, you have started the process of seeking to commit a particular offense. You have not consummated it, but we can see that you have done everything that ought to have been done to commit it. You could also be punished. And in that case, you would suffer the same sanction, which is, in this case, defrauding by false pretense, a minimum of 10 years and a maximum of 25 years.
Right. Samson, from the way you've described it and put it, it appears that we're likely to encounter, or whoever's trying to attempt to prosecute this case is likely to be faced with some challenges. What sort of challenges do you foresee?
Very huge challenges. Challenge number one, who has been defrauded? That's the question to be answered. Who is the complainant? Who has gone to the police to complain that Kwesi Nyantakyi has defrauded them? And of how much? How did that person give the money or the consideration that has gone out? How did the person give it? How do you trace to confirm that that money or consideration has in fact been given to Kwesi Nyantakyi and that the thing he promised to do, he was unable to do it? Or if it's not Nyantakyi, who else is it that was to receive the money that has received it? And what is the evidence of the money that was, given out? That is where I say the next hurdle will be, if you can't prove all of that, you must show that something had been done. So show it. Where is the evidence of an attempt to take the money or receive the money, and so on and so forth? Another point is that since you are not establishing who gave money and who says has been defrauded, you will need to also show where did the particular crime you are alleging take place? Did it take place on Ghanaian soil? If it took place within the territory of Ghana, then the law is that is very simple to deal with, because the criminal jurisdiction of our courts is territorial and it's within the territory of Ghana. And the law says either it happened within Ghana or within Ghana's airspace or within Ghana's territorial waters, or it was committed in a ship or an airplane that is registered or licensed in Ghana, or you were on the Ghanaian embassy in the other country if it was committed outside of the country, or you are in public service, you are a servant of the Republic of Ghana, and you found yourself outside of Ghana and you committed an offense, which is an offense where you went and an offense in Ghana.
Now, from what you're describing, Samson, it appears the president's complaint and directive to the police CID probably may not suffice.
If the president has given a complaint, the question would be, what is the complaint about? Is the president saying that he has been defrauded? Obviously not. Is the president saying that his name has been used wrongly? Question is, where is the proof of what the name was used to do? And having his name being used wrongly, what is the offense in law? There is no defrauding by false pretense against the president. There cannot be any such against the president. It is the reason a complainant, identifiable, who can show what he parted with, or he being the one that was being deceived, is important. But you see, Israel, there will be a lot of hurdles to cross if ever the police decided that they were going to try the matter. And I brought in the question of the jurisdiction. Where did the offense take place? And did it take place in a manner and involving a person who the law considers as one that can be tried in Ghana, even though the action may have happened outside of Ghana? They need to answer all of these questions. That's why we should be patient and wait for the police to conclude their investigations to tell us that there is a case for Kwesi Nyantakyi to answer. The law says one is presumed innocent until that person has gone to court and pleaded guilty, or the person has been found guilty. When he stands in the dock in court, if he was ever put in court, he has the right not to say a single thing, because the onus is on the one accusing him and the prosecution to prove their case. And the standard and the burden of proof in law, in criminal law, is proof beyond reasonable doubt. If there is a single doubt that is raised in the case that the alleger or the prosecution or whoever is the complainant will make against him, if there's a single doubt, the law calls it a scintilla of doubt in it, it will go in favor of the person who has been accused. And it will be deemed that you have not proved your case beyond reasonable doubt. So the person will be let go.
All right. Okay, Samson Ladiayini, thank you very much for bringing us that insight. Now, there's more to this story. We're taking a break right now, though, but there's more. Parliament has been speaking to this issue, the Youth and Sports Committee of Parliament. They have been speaking, and this is not the first time that the GFA president, Kwesi Nyantakyi, has found himself in a situation like this. We'll be analyzing previous instances where he's managed to wiggle himself out of it. This is JoyNews Prime. We're taking a break. We have more on the Kwesi Nyantakyi stories. You're welcome back to JoyNews Prime. We're staying with this story having to do with Kwesi Nyantakyi facing possible prosecution for allegations that he used the president's name to defraud some persons. Now, the Youth and Sports Committee of Parliament is pushing for swift and stiffer punishment for all those found culpable in the yet-to-be-released investigative piece by Anas Aremeyo Anas. The committee's chairman, Alex Kofi Ejekum, tells JoyNews the country has a good opportunity to demonstrate to the world its commitment to uprooting corruption.
This particular action by the president settles that thing, that no institution, whether public or private, can hide behind and say that, hey, we are independent, whatever it is. Number two, in recent times, the image of Ghana has been sunk. From Brazil issues up till date, you and I know better. And so this current issue will be a yardstick that the international community will measure Ghana as far as dealing with corruption-related issues are concerned. Like I've always said, you can never prevent the birds of the sky flying over your head. But when a particular bird decides to come and make a nest on your head, that one you can be shaking your head. I agree. In the same way, the president cannot say that, hey, I have taken over the reins of administration. There's going to be zero corruption issues. But when they do happen, and you're able to establish some kind of prima facie case, and the political will and measures that will be taken to deal with it and punish the culprit, that is how people will take you serious or not. And so this is also an issue to prove to the international community, yes, don't go here, our people, don't do this, they have done. But what have you done about it? And that will also be an image-saving kind of thing for us.
Now, other MPs have pushing for a total dissolution of the leadership of the Ghana Football Association. For some, a thorough cleanup, regardless of the consequences, will help sanitize the sector.
GFA has been on the radar of every Ghanaian, from President Kufuor's time, President Mills' time. I think we have let the country down. Everybody have let the country down. We should have just insisted that the things that are being said about Mr. Nyantakyi were too much. We should just sack him. The worst that would have happened was FIFA banning us. And indeed, Nigeria did it, and then they banned them. Are they not back? What would we lose? I think this is the opportunity for us to put the boot into FIFA, GFA, get the whole thing reorganized so that we can monitor what is going on. Currently, FIFA, the GFA issue is a problem for all of us.
If you are even not a lover of this country, you've heard so much about the FA and the handling of soccer in this country. Unless you don't listen to any radio, you don't watch any TV. And I remember very well, there was this guy in your stable, Countryman Zongo or something. I mean, hardcore critic of Kwesi Nyantakyi's administration. And so if you listen to some of the things he said, what is coming out will not surprise you at all. I'm also not surprised. In most cases, he came to defend himself as required, but whether the defense was adequate or not, this evidence makes whatever attempt that is made to defend himself somehow useless.
The allegation has always been on. The football journalist or the sports journalist has always been mentioning Kwesi Nyantakyi. Well, I know he ought to have been careful in most of his dealings because the name Kwesi Nyantakyi has been on the wrong mouth of most of the sports journalists. But as to whether this will bring the end of Kwesi Nyantakyi is another thing. Because specifically when you look at this particular matter, it doesn't actually relate directly to even his profession as a FA president. Probably is another angle of trying to woo investors into the country. So the game of all what we are doing is evidence. I mean, let's try and see that indeed there's enough evidence to show that Kwesi Nyantakyi is doing things wrong.
Now, this is not the first time corruption charges have been leveled against the GFA president. I'm joined in the studio by my colleague Gary R. Smith of Joy Sports as he takes us through 4 cases that could not hold against Kwesi Nyantakyi. Thank you, Gary, for joining us. So let's start off with one of the very first cases that has to do with the Brazil 2014 scandal.
Right. I covered that one extensively from the beginning till the end, and there was similarly a lot of hype around it. And anytime Kwesi Nyantakyi's name has come up in the past 7 years or so, there has been a trial by media, to be fair to him, where nothing has been proven before. You know, there's always allegations, but the fact that there is a culture of saying that there's corruption at the GFA means that it has taken root in people's minds and hearts that the place is corrupt. So like the JFA Commission, a lot of the things that were brought were not fully substantiated, either because the documents were not sufficient enough or by some other technicality, so they couldn't hold. At the end of the day, the commission recommended that Nyantakyi be made to refund money totally over $4 million to the state. The GFA instead sued the state, and the matter is still resting peacefully in court. If it were something that held water,
right,
yes, you would think that it would have, but most of these things are not conclusive, and that's why a lot of people, neutrals, are happy that, oh, if finally we've gotten something like video evidence, then at least, if even the courts don't find him guilty, the premiering of the video will show that, yes, all these things that we've been hearing for all these years would have been true. All the time he says that there's no evidence or whatever it is, but there's video evidence this time. Yeah. And in people's minds, even if technically nothing is done to him from the legal side, they would have the conviction that, you know, this is there. The second one has
to do with the refusal to pay significant contribution of his players.
That's very recent, very, very recent. The story actually came out just under a month or 2 ago about this that had been happening, and we still haven't gotten any concrete, proof as yet. Nobody has taken it to court. Nobody has taken it up. SNIT themselves, we know how rigorous SNIT are, how much they chase people for. Remember the example of Mr. Agude?
Yeah.
When it comes to SNIT and these things, they come after you like a house on fire, but we've not seen anything. So these are still yet just allegations.
But they're also suggesting probably he's too powerful to be touched.
But if he's too powerful to be touched, what does that say about our system? That somebody doesn't pay SNIT, which workers who work for him have earned over the period of time that the story says it has.
So the outcome of the SNIT issue is that SNIT referred the matter to the Wide District Court, and the court issued a writ of summons, but Nyantakyi had never made himself available to be served by the court.
Yes, so it's still pending.
Now, away from this, Gary, what are the implications or before we actually get to that, what has been the reaction from the football community? What has FIFA said about it? What is the GFA saying about it?
The GFA are saying absolutely nothing. I spoke to a senior official of the GFA, asked if we should be expecting a statement. They said no. I'm on a WhatsApp group with Kwesi Nyantakyi and all that. I mean, he's just said he's fine. That's all he said. After he was released, he's fine. And he thanked everybody for the messages of support, those who had given him. The GFA said they are not going to say anything. Why? Because what has happened, as you may have heard, is not directly a football matter. So technically it has no bearing on his job as GFA president. Some may say that morally, if anything is found on his person, in terms of he being guilty, then you can say that he's not morally and from an integrity point of view fit to be the GFA president. But so far, so long as nothing has been found, you can't say anything. Okay. And 2 hours ago, we heard that there were stories on social media that an interim GFA boss has been. The person said it's not true. And it's not true because why do you have an interim GFA boss? You can only trigger that clause when it is proven that the GFA president is not available for some reason. But he's available because he has not been charged.
All right. the discussions we're having so far has to do with what has come out so far regarding the expose by Anas Arami.
We can extrapolate now.
What we know is that it has to do with the name of the president and the vice president being mentioned.
And that's
what has come up. But there could be a lot more.
In the video, yes, that's the thing. That's why, despite the seeming, for example, Samson gave us some very interesting technicalities that if this were the only part of the video that were available against Mr. Nyantakyi, he can wiggle his way through. But you can notice from the GFA's body language that this is just one hurdle. Yeah, wait and see, because they don't know what is happening. So they can't be seen gloating or whatever it is now. So probably right now, Mr. Nyantakyi is very calm. He's at home with his family. Yeah. But there may be more in the video because we've heard that there are portions where it is seen that he's actually taking money, you know, he's being given money, so on and so forth. You asked about the international reaction.
Yes.
Yes. The BBC has been at the lead, at the forefront of reporting it from the international angle.
They're partnering Tiger Eye to do this.
Yes. We heard from Mr. Kweku Bako this morning that Tiger Eye and the BBC collaborated to do this. We also understand from my sources at the BBC that they are not happy, just like Anas is not happy, that the presidency did what they did yesterday, because Anas and Tiger IPI gave the president the benefits of watching the portions of the video in confidence, you know. So for him to have taken this action is to have taken the thunder out of this. It can give Kwesi Nyantakyi and his lawyers ample time to work things out and so on and so forth. So the BBC, we understand, are also not happy, but that's why they took the story. From the other international media houses, they've just reported it basically because nothing has come out of it. So it's just, oh, FIFA Council member Kwesi Nyantakyi, CAF Vice President has been this and that, but no serious reportage has been done.
You indicated earlier that people of the officials of the GFA can be seen to be gloating, but you don't gloat around Kwesi Nyantakyi, or when it has to do with Kwesi Nyantakyi.
Well, yeah, if you know what is good for you, you don't gloat around Kwesi Nyantakyi. Indeed, the first official reaction has come through Inshira FM, our sister station in Kumasi, where Wilfred Osei Palmer, one of the Black Stars Management Committee member, came out to defend Kwesi Nyantakyi and said that they are solidly behind their president. But it's interesting that he would do that. For those who follow football in the last few months, it was his head that was on the chopping block because of disloyalty against Kwesi Nyantakyi. And after a lot of lobbying, he was brought back into the fold. In fact, he was one of the main men who was the hatchet man for cutting off George Free, you know, because, and he has to be seen doing more to get his place at the table of men when it comes to the GFA. So it's no surprise that Wilfred Osei is the one who has come out to defend Kwesi Nyantakyi.
How does all of this play in the GFA
elections? Yes, the GFA are supposed to have their elections in 2019. This can be interesting from two ways. The GFA's internal mechanisms have always been impermeable. They've always not cared what the people outside say, which brings out the famous expression, football people. What football people means is that they vote themselves. So no matter what you say on JoyNews or Joy FM or whatever, they don't care. There are 123 members of the GFA. They vote at Congress. It is what they decide that matters. What Ghanaians sitting in the Flagstaff House or any Christian councils, they don't care. So on the face of it, on the face of the pink sheet, all that is happening does not matter. If they want to vote for Kwesi Nyantakyi next year, they would. However, what this does is that it might give a few members of the GFA a conscience attack.
Probably more than a few.
Yes, because already what we know in the past months is that George Free has become the vice president who has been kicked out by Kwesi Nyantakyi, has become emboldened because his groundwork showed him that a sizable chunk of the GFA's caucus are against Nyantakyi because they feel that he's becoming too dictatorial. He's not allowing people to express themselves, you know. And as he said, he said that Nyantakyi is becoming greedy and so on and so forth. So what this can do is that even if Nyantakyi is not from a competent court of law, jailed or whatever it is, the workings of the GFA may lose confidence in him, and that is how maybe he can lose the elections next year. But whatever it is, he has a big job to do ahead of the polls next year.
All right, thank you very much, Gary Al-Smith, for all the insight. We have taken quite a bit of time delving into these matters. We will have to take a break at this point to be.